Grandmaster, can you come up here? This is something not in your agenda, but we want to talk to you about Grand Lodge. You hear this thing about Grand Lodge all the time. Grand Lodge. What is Grand Lodge? When we talk about Grand Lodge, it can mean two things. It can mean the Grand Lodge office in Saratoga, or it can mean Grand Lodge sessions, which we refer to quite a bit. Grand Lodge sessions. How many of you have never been to a Grand Lodge session? Okay, about 30 of you. Grand Lodge session is a designated place within our state where all of us gather, our lodge's representatives, our past grands. And we're given a lot of a certain amount of members that we can send to these. My lodge sends 15 members. Actually, we sent third-degree members as well. I think we sent 19 last year. Every lodge should send a representative. Do you know, personally, that's how I kind of judge a lodge, is to see how active they are in on fellowship by the representation it sends to Grand Lodge. And I know probably these guys will do that too. He does it, and I know he does it. I know we're sitting, the board of directors, they sit there. We see and we hear when roll call's taken at the session of Grand Lodge, which is in Modesto in May this year. We listen for those lodges that don't respond to the roll call. Okay, what if you're one of those lodges and then we get a complaint during the year? Then we get no per capita report. Okay, we start putting it together because all this comes together at the board of directors. Okay, this is what happens at Grand Lodge. And when we find out a lodge is either not functioning, not meeting, this happens at Grand Lodge session. Okay, it comes together.
Very quickly, you know in your per capita reports, there's a column that says PG. That's not a movie rating. That is past grands. So lodges report past grands from that lodge. And we have about 4,000 members in California. And I don't have the exact number, but there's like 1,000 past grands in California. 1,000. So we should have hundreds of voting representatives at Grand Lodge sessions. Lodges are entitled to have up to 15 voting representatives who must be past grands at sessions. Some lodges have less than that. It really depends on the number of members. You're allocated voting representatives based on your membership. So we should have hundreds of representatives from lodges. We have about 170, give or take, representatives who come to Grand Lodge. Now, for those 170, they have a lot more authority because there's only 170. But I know all of us up here would like to see every lodge represented with at least one or two voting representatives.
So all of you can attend the Grand Lodge sessions. If you are a past Grand, you are eligible to be a delegate, to be a voting representative at the Grand Lodge. And depending on the size of your lodge, that affects how many representatives your lodge can send. The larger lodges in membership can send more representatives who are voting members of the Grand Lodge.
There are things you don't like in this order. Okay, and your lodge may have complaints. I remember a few years ago we had an issue with the float. Remember the float? I know Mel's part of that, but we worked that thing out. Okay, your lodge may oppose anything, or may want to see some changes done. Remember, I mentioned yesterday, as your lodge or your representatives can present legislation for change. I think our deadline is still April 1st.
It's either March 1 or April 1.
Yeah, and I know we adjusted it because of qualification statements. I think we may have put
I think it was January 14th.
January 14th, that'd be really, really early, but no. So you want to express yourselves in the way of writing legislation. Don't let it go by the wayside. If there's something you think is wrong in this order, the ritual or the code, your lodge has every right to submit legislation. Your lodge has every right to ask for help how to write that legislation. Okay, it's in the code. We'll help you. I'll help you. Rick will help you. Rick Boyle's back there. He'll be happy to write your legislation. Okay? So don't complain if you're not there. If you're not there speaking up. Okay? The float's a wonderful thing now, by the way. So we got that all situated, and we're back there. We're supporting it. I know Dave, the Sovereign Grandmaster, was there as well. I know I'll be there. I know I made it one of my projects, along with also with the Educational Foundation. So these things we support. Okay? We need to hear from you. I know there are a couple lodges in there with growing memberships. We don't see your representatives at Grand Lodge session. Okay? We don't see, you're losing that connection. You're wondering why Grand Lodge is something big out here, something huge. It's not. We're all members like you. We meet once every 2 months. We have a board meeting. We talk about all the things. We talk about the reports that haven't been responded to. The Grand Master talks about the good things and the bad things that reach his computer or his mailbox or his phone. He talks about those. We have a fraternal side and we have a business side of our Grand Lodge board. It all comes together and we talk about your lodges and how we manage our Grand Lodge. Your lodges come up if it's deficient or if it's doing admirable work. It comes up in our board meetings. We talk about you. We try to find things to improve your lodges, to make things easier for you. Okay? We try to stay out of your business as long as you're doing your business. Okay? If you're not keeping up with your per capita, you're going to hear this over and over and over. Even the Grand Secretary and the Grand Treasurer stood here yesterday, said they're going to be forced to fine your lodges, which is also allowed. They're going to be forced because they have time deadlines. You know how that is. You can't just turn in the report the day after it's due, because that secretary, Grand Secretary, only has 1 month after to get all that money sent up to, all your dues sent up, all that per capita to Sovereign Grand Lodge. Otherwise, Grand Lodge has to front that money. Okay? And it creates chaos. It creates a lot of pressure on the Grand Secretary and the Grand Treasurer. We're paying your per capita for you if you have not submitted your per capita report and submitted your payment. Okay? It's very important. I think we've only been fined once, and that was about 10 years ago by the Grand Secretary at that time. And I oppose that because 70 lodges were fined, but they were late with their reports. So,
I just want to touch on 2 quick things that Peter mentioned. Number one, the Grand Lodge is not an evil empire. We really do try to stay out of their business. We will get involved with your business in a couple of areas. Number one, I get, Peter gets, Dave gets, and will get requests from lodges. I this year have received a few of them, mostly from noble brands, saying, help, we have a problem. And when we get that kind of request, then yes, we do involve ourselves to try to help, either through the appointment of a special deputy or through the appointment of an audit committee to try to sort out what the problem is. The problem may be a financial problem, the problem may be a fraternal problem, some turmoil within the lodge, and we try to help sort that out as best we can. The other area that I wanted to touch on is you can introduce things through your representatives at Grand Lodge. There are really kind of 2 things you can introduce. Number one is legislation. Legislation which would change or amend Robert's Code of California laws. By the way, I know there's confusion on this because it's called Roberts, named after Wayne Roberts, a great author who recently passed away. He kind of put it together and was a major force in writing it. It has nothing to do with Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order are rules of parliamentary procedure, which we don't use anymore because we use Rosenberg's rules. But Robert's Rules of Order is nothing like Robert's Code. There are two codes. Robert's Code of California Laws, which is the code that affects California, and then the general law of oddfellows, which is promulgated by the Sovereign Grand Lodge. So you can submit legislation to change portions of the Robert's Code. You can also submit resolutions, which may affect what is done in the current year or provide some guidance for the current year. For example, I have recently submitted a resolution which, if passed, will enable our sovereign grand representatives to work with other states to change the constitution of the Sovereign Grand Lodge, which will ultimately change the structure of the Sovereign Grand Lodge, because true change will only occur when we change the structure of the Sovereign Grand Lodge. The proposal that I'm making is to change the representation of the Sovereign Grand Lodge. Currently, the representation is like the Senate, where effectively every state gets the same number of representatives. Doesn't matter if you're a big state like California with 4,000 members or a state with 120 members, you get the same number of representatives. I'm proposing that we change it to be more like a House of Representatives, where the number of representatives is tied to the number of members of the state. That's going to be a hard nut to crack, but that's the first step toward real change. So, resolutions or legislation through your representatives.
How many of you have never attended Grand Lodge sessions? So you may not have a clear idea of how this really works. The Grand Lodge sessions meet in a large room similar to this. People are sitting at tables or chairs, and it's really a wonderful opportunity to learn new things about the order and everything that's part of our order. First of all, the people that attend the Grand Lodge are people who are really interested in seeing that the order survives. They're some of the most enthusiastic oddfellows you'll run across. But you'll find out things that you never really knew existed out there. If you're a relatively new member of a lodge, your world of odd fellowship is probably your lodge. And you may not have a great awareness of what is going on in other lodges or what is going on in the state level. And when you go to the Grand Lodge sessions, you get a chance to interact with oddfellows from all over the state. Some of them are members of very strong lodges, some of them are members of less strong lodges. But you get an idea of how other oddfellows and other oddfellow lodges participate in the order. And there's always things we can do to do things better. No lodge, and every lodge is unique. Every lodge is a reflection of their members, and they do things that reflect the interest of their members and the interest of their community. And you can learn things about what works for other lodges, what may not work for other lodges in your lodge. Another thing that can be a learning opportunity is to see this legislation goes on. There'll be a binder of proposals to amend parts of the statewide order. And it'll touch on topics that you may not have realized were even out there. But it gives you an opportunity to broaden your perspective of what we do on a statewide level, and maybe this will affect what happens on your lodge level. You may or may not be aware that there are state arms of the order, such as the Three Links Camp. There's the Oddfellows Home of California, and one of the things the Grand Lodge representatives do are elect directors to these various entities. They elect directors to the Oddfellows Home, they elect directors to the Three Links Camp, to the Grand Lodge Board of Directors. They elect the Grand Officers. They elect the Grand Warden, the Deputy Grand Master, and the Grand Master. So these are all part of what happens at the Grand Lodge sessions. And I encourage those who haven't been there to check it out sometime, because it will give you a better idea of how much good we do out there beyond what we do on a local level.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, I mentioned earlier about who may propose a bill. Who may propose bills? Remember, this is in your code book. Bills may be proposed by an Oddfellow Lodge in good standing. Good standing means your per capita is up to date, and you have paid all your lodge bills as well. Sometimes lodges order materials, and they forget to pay those invoices. Make sure you're paying those. A representative to the Grand Lodge, and an elective officer of the Grand Lodge, a majority of the elected board of directors, a majority of the duly appointed committee of the Grand Lodge, and a minority of a board committee may propose a substitute bill. Don't worry about that one, but you can, all of your lodges can submit bills. And guess what? Those have to be in by April 1st to the Grand Secretary. So if you have a change, make sure it tells you how to do it on a piece of 8 by 12 piece of paper. And let me see. It gives all the dimensions on how it needs to be drafted, and you send that under the seal of your lodge. You send it to the secretary. Secretary enters it in a stack, prepares those for the advanced proceedings. That's where the Grand Lodge Board of Directors gets together and decides what it wants to support and not support. Just kidding. We don't do that. Okay, page 40 in your computer, not in your manual. It says the legislation committee, or any of us, if you submit it to us before March 1st, March 1st, we can help you on that legislation. If you're requesting assistance, that has to be done before March 1st. Okay? Then that bill needs to be submitted before April 1st. What I'm trying to do is get you guys, if you have complaints and you see things in your ritual and code, we're trying to get you to react. We want you to write legislation. We want you to change those. We're lodge members too. Okay, we're lodge members first. We can't be up here unless we're members of our lodges. I used to tell everybody, keep Grand Lodge out of your business. Okay? I still feel that way. Don't bring the attention to your lodge. Don't do that. Okay. What I'd like you to do from this point on, if you have, I'm going to answer 2 questions right now. If you have any questions on these things, hopefully we've raised some questions. I'm sure you do. Please post them over there. If you don't want those questions read out, you can write those down, give them to any one of us. Ron will answer you in private after this whole seminar, maybe in the coming week. Okay? I understand how that can be, but go ahead and learn about your Grand Lodge. Get involved in that level. Send representatives. We don't want to sit to a room of an empty room. I think we had 185 representatives, not 170 last year, and I think we still had 200 plus in the room. That's pretty good. Okay, we like to see 200 people at Grand Lodge, in our Grand Lodge session. I think the Rebeccas have about a little half of that, but they used to have like 3 times that 15 years ago. So things are changing, but we like to see all of you come to Grand Lodge session. If you don't have your 3rd degree yet, You're not eligible yet.
Get your third degree.
Get your third degree. It should not take that long. You've got 2 months to get your third degree. You should be able to do that within 2 meetings. Okay? You got a DVD? You know another lodge that has a DVD? Send a letter stating that member's qualified to receive that degree. Get your third degree. Get it completed so you can come as a visitor to Grand Lodge and see how we operate. Don't let Grand Lodge be this mystery to you. Don't let it be this big, massive building with, you think, a whole slew of workers are up there against your lodge, okay? They're up there working for you, and it's a small office, and then we get together, all our lodges get together. Your lodges represent Grand Lodge.
Aren't all of you looking for a reason to go to Modesto in May? This year is our last year in Modesto, and next year we're starting a 3-year run in Visalia.
And we're all going to visit Visalia Lodge. So get that lodge on track. We're all coming there, all of us. All of us are going to take a tour of your lodge, okay?